Good morning, Beaumont. Well, an appeals court in Washington has removed the head of the federal watchdog agency in the latest twist in the legal fight over President Trump's authority to fire the special counsel. It is a sad situation where we have these men in black robes that somehow think that they are anointed royalty and they actually have power over the chief executive, the President of the United States. It's amazing how these guys who are appointed by one person seem to think that their opinion is more valuable than that of the American people who voted in plurality for President Donald John Trump. Nonetheless, it goes on. Hampton Dillinger was the head of the Office of Special Counsel, and Donald Trump fired him because he wasn't doing a good job. So Dillinger sued after he was fired, even though the law says special counsels can be removed by the president only for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. And of course, he was guilty of all three of those. But U.S. District Judge Amy Berman, who was nominated to the bench by the Democrat President Barack Hussein Obama, quickly reinstated Dillinger in the job while he pursued his case. Of course, he had no actual work to do. He would come in every day and sit behind the desk and twiddle his thumbs and watch TV because, well, he didn't have any work. Anyway, he proceeded to continue to take a paycheck. The ruling comes as Dillinger is also challenging the removal of probationary workers who were fired as part of the Trump administration's shakeup of federal government. Once again, this fellow that was appointed by one person is now making decisions for the entire electorate of the United States, and there's no way that's right. The Trump administration has argued that the law protecting the special counsel from removal is not only unconstitutional, but it unfairly prevents the president from rightfully installing his preferred agency heads. Don't forget the president is responsible for the success or failure of his administration, and in order to be successful, he wants to make sure that he gets good, high-quality people in there. Well, nonetheless, Jackson ruled on Saturday that Dillinger's firing was unlawful and ordered that he remain in his post, but the appeals court lifted that order, blocking his removal, while the court considers legal arguments in the case. The Office of Special Counsel is responsible for guarding the federal workforce from illegal personal actions, such as retaliation for being a whistleblower. But as you well know, in the case of whistleblowers, they were perfectly happy to let those guys get fired. Anyway, they investigate whether whistleblower claims of reprisal can pursue disciplinary action against employees who punish whistleblowers and provide a channel for employees to disclose government wrongdoing. After a request from Dillinger's office, the governmental panel that enforces workers' rights ruled Wednesday that more than 5,000 employees fired by the Trump administration should be put back on the job at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Once again, these judges that were appointed by a single person are making decisions for the entire electorate, and that includes spending your tax dollars. So while the order applies only to USDA workers, Dillinger released a statement calling on federal agencies to voluntarily and immediately rescind any unlawful terminations of probationary employees. I don't know about you, but it makes me very angry, and I'm hoping that these judges are going to be impeached soon. Now this. On another note, this of course is from the leftist media, a woman by the name of Sarah Rumpf. She is talking about Lena Habba. Lena Habba, counselor to Donald Trump, was asked about the veterans, that was President Donald Trump, who was asked about the veterans who had been fired from the federal workforce, and she responded perhaps they were not fit to have a job at this moment. The layoffs have been a major factor in the controversies surrounding the first few weeks of Donald Trump's second term. Critics are saying they are being done in violation of the law and risk damaging core governmental functions and vulnerable people, and should not be driven by Elon Musk, the, quote, unelected billionaire heading up the Doge team. I want to remind you once again, people that are appointed to government office are all unelected, but they were selected by the people that we did elect. So I don't know why they're having such a hard time with this. And of course, they like to talk about the fact that, Elon Musk is a billionaire. Well, he certainly is. And what that means to me is Elon Musk has plenty of money and he doesn't need yours. He's not stealing anything from anyone. Well, except for a few politicians that have been squeezing you dry illegally, I dare say. Anyway, Monday, Chris Janson interviewed Representative Joe Courtney, Democrat, Connecticut, and Gabrielle Delattre, a Marine veteran who had just been fired from the IRS and been invited to be Courtney's guest for Trump's speech on Tuesday evening at the joint session of Congress. Delattre told Janson that he was hoping to hear Trump say that he has a plan to reinstate the veterans that were fired, as well as their spouses and other military members who were employed by the federal government overseas. So this is really it. I'm here on the behalf of the veterans. Well, first of all, I have to point out to you, the IRS hired 80,000 more agents to go after the American people, to rob the American people, if you will. That's my personal opinion, is that taxation is theft. And of course, what we've been discovering is they've been stealing our money now for some period of time and spending it on things that no American would ever allow it to be spent on. They would never give them the money and say, oh yeah, please go promote atheism in Nepal. Here's the money to do it. Went on to say, I'd like you to react specifically because she's talking about veterans like yourself when she said they're not fit to have a job at this moment or not even willing to come to work. Does that apply to you or any of the other veterans you work with? Said Janson is trying to start something. Delattre, of course, said, well, of course not. I'm in the office all the time and I oversaw all of the IRS facilities in Connecticut and going into other offices all over New England, which is not the kind of job that can be done from home. Well, the only thing I can say is a Marine veteran is not going to have any problems finding work. And we have more people in the wagon than we have pulling it. And it's time to get rid of this bloated federal government that's got 10 times too many people in it, spending ridiculous sums of money on things that none of us would ever allow. And it's time to put control of that back in the hands of the American people. And of course, once again, I have to remind you, the 16th Amendment was never properly ratified. Do your own research on that. And the IRS does not have any enabling legislation to steal your money. So it's going away. It's going away soon. So this guy was going to lose his job one way or the other because Donald Trump has created the External Revenue Service, which makes a whole lot more sense. It'll require 1/10, maybe 1/100th the amount of people to make it work, and we will all be better off for it. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble or one of those places where you can see video, please leave comments below. And a thumbs up wouldn't hurt either, but the comments are really what drives this thing, and I need your comments, even if it's just Duck Doo saying, where is everybody? Secondly, if you're listening to this on Freedom 1300 AM in Beaumont, then you need to call all your friends and say, hey, man, you need to check out Freedom 1300 because it's a brand new thing, and this is where all the patriots need to be. And for those of you that are wondering, the numbers are in. Donald Trump reached 32.2 million viewers in 2024 with his State of the Union address. They still are saying that he did not draw as many as the State of the Union's address in the past. They said his 2017 address got 47.7 million viewers, followed by 45.6 million in 2018. On the other hand, though, considering where this is coming from, the leftist press, Variety, I suspect it's probably not absolutely factual. Anyway, measured by Nielsen, this year's total accounts for viewers across ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, etc., Biden's 2024 total included all the same networks and still didn't draw anywhere near what Trump drew. Biden's most watched State of the Union was in 2022 when he got allegedly 38.2 million viewers. So, and 26.9 million in 2023. Older viewers made up a significant majority of Trump's audience. Nielsen noted that 70% of the viewers were aged 55 and older, with 20.5% being 35 to 54 and 5.7% being 18 to 34. Well, that's because most of the people below the age of 34 aren't really paying any attention to politics right now. They're just trying to pay their taxes. They're going to be very, very happy if they're waiters or waitresses or anyone else in the tip business, because Donald Trump's going to get rid of taxes on tips. And of course, if you are collecting Social Security, you're going to be very happy because now there's not going to be a tax on Social Security. And if you're just a run-of-the-mill factory worker, well, no tax on overtime. And I've often said overtime is the only time you actually get paid what you're worth. So go Donald Trump. But I got to tell you, the polls are in, and Donald Trump had a 76% approval rating for his address 2 nights ago. So just put that in your pipe and smoke it. 76% approval rating, that's huge. And of course, most of the people, even the Democrats, are out there saying, wow, I kind of do like what this guy is doing. I kind of like the idea of getting rid of all of these illegal aliens that broke into our country without permission and then took American jobs and took American classrooms and drove up the cost of housing, because the cost of housing is supply and demand, and as long as the demand exceeds the supply, the cost will be high. As that changes and goes the other direction, you will see lower priced housing. And of course, a lot of people on the left were very upset, and the post-speech Democrats all said, well, Donald Trump said he was going to lower prices on day one, and here we are, it's day 60, and he hasn't lowered the prices yet. Now, these are the same Democrats that had nothing to say while the prices were skyrocketing. I mean, inflation over the last 4 years has been somewhere between 50 and 75%. That means what you used to be able to buy for $1 now is going to cost you $1.50 to $1.75. That's the true inflation rate. Not a peep out of the Democrats while all that was happening. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump gets in there. Well, it's been 60 days and he hasn't done anything. Well, I'm just telling you, he's the greatest president that America has ever had. I personally am pretty excited about the whole thing. And what Donald Trump is doing by reducing the cost of government through the Doge is going to reduce prices very quickly. So what Donald Trump is doing by getting us out of Ukraine and quitting the practice of us borrowing huge sums of money, billions and billions of dollars, and then handing them over to Ukraine to fritter away, and even then, Zelensky doesn't know where half of it went. Well, that's all going to stop. That is going to lower prices too. So I'm pretty excited about the whole thing.